I like plans and I'm very excited for this plan, so hopefully it all goes to plan. That was a lot of plans in one sentence, but yeah. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly reading vlog, and I don't know what I'm reading this week. I've just finished my romance reading vlog and I had so much fun with that. I do hope you enjoy it. I'm trying to do more of those themed sort of reading vlogs. I'm going to try and do one at least once a month, but I don't know what I'm going to read now. I feel like I want a little bit of a break. I've really enjoyed all the romance books that I've read. It's been a really fun time. I've read a little bit. Well, I read a big chunky fantasy book last week as well, so I'm feeling like I want to take a little break from fantasy and romance. Maybe just read something that's a little bit different, at least to start off the week, but I don't know what. I do have one historical fiction book which I'm kind of leaning towards, so I might do that. Let me grab it. So that's The Clockwork Girl by Anna Mazzola. And this is a historical fiction set in Paris in 1750, bit of a mystery going on. So I'm thinking this would be a nice change in what I've been reading, because a lot of my February TBR is actually young adult or fantasy or romance, or a combination of the three. So I'm thinking to start off the month to do something different. So I might do this just to break up the reading. I might change my mind, we'll see, because before I get to reading today I've got to edit the wrap up I just filmed for January. So I need to get that up and edited and do that all today, because technically it's meant to go up tomorrow. So I need to get that done. I need to do some food shopping, so I'll bring you along with me for that, and probably start editing last week's vlog. Like, I started a little bit of it but make a bit more progress in that. I also want to play a bit of Animal Crossing. I've changed up what I'm doing with my island. I was originally going to be doing more of like a countryside thing, but actually I'm going for more woodland vibes instead, because I love using the blooming trees and stuff. I found a darker code that I want to use for the path, so I did a few changes. I've done a couple things in it, so I might show you that a little bit later when I get to it. So I might do a bit of that and then eventually get to reading, we'll see. But I also want to do a bit of Myrtle on my lunch break today. So the way I structure, I did do a YouTube productive day thing, but if you haven't seen that video, the way I structure my YouTube days, which is what this is going to be, is I start off with whatever filming and stuff I need to do whatever editing and that, but I like to have a set lunch break where I actually come away from anything to do with filming, editing and stuff for about an hour and just change up what I'm doing. Normally in that hour I would read or play Myrtle, which has been my go-to for these YouTube days, is just taking a break to play a couple of games of Myrtle, which is a puzzle book. So I might do some of that, and we'll see. I might just read a little bit this evening, see how the feeling goes. I'm not sure. So I read a lot last week. Like, I read a lot. I read 3 books last week, but one of them was massive and I read it in a short span of time. So I also don't mind if I don't pick up anything today and give myself a full day of not reading to give myself a bit of a break. We'll see. Mainly because I want to play Animal Crossing. But that's where we're at. That's the start of this weekly reading vlog. A very short one intro for me, actually, because normally I'm chatting for ages in these intro bits, but I'm not going to do that today. We're actually going to try and keep it under 5 minutes. Go me. But I hope you're all doing really well. Let me know what you've been up to, what you're reading, and yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. So I'm going to get to editing, and then we'll do some food shopping, and then I really want to play AC. I'm not gonna lie, I really want to play AC today. We'll see how much I get done, and I don't know, I might read this. I've been putting it off for ages. I've had it for over a year now and I've just kept putting it off. I haven't seen anyone talking about it, but I feel like it could be a really good book just because of what it is. But I don't know if I want to read today, or whether I'm just gonna put this off till tomorrow, or maybe I'll change to something else. I don't know. Who knows? Right now I've gone over 5 minutes, so let's just go and get on with this day. And yeah, I'll tell you what I end up picking up when I next check in, but I really do have to do that editing, so let's just get on with that. morning. I had a really nice day yesterday. I actually managed to get all the things that I wanted to edit done really early. So I had to film and edit the January wrap up, so I managed to get all of that done. And I started editing the weekly vlog that was last week's vlog, and I'm really pleased with that. I could have edited for longer, but today's plans is to go out the house and edit out the house. This is a goal that I've set myself for at least once a month, to get out the house and edit. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go to a coffee shop and just sit down, edit, and just have a nice different like environment and get myself out the house for a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. So that's today's plans. So I didn't bother doing all the editing yesterday because, I mean, I wouldn't have done all of it, but I wanted to make sure that I left myself with enough that I'm actually still motivated to get out the house and edit. So yeah, it was really good, but it meant that I had half the day yesterday to do whatever I wanted, which mainly consisted of playing Animal Crossing, I'm not gonna lie. Although I did journal for a little bit, which is the first time I've picked up my journal in about, well, since November, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I will admit, since I've been doing more detailed setups for my reading journal and bullet journals for the reset videos, I have been doing my own personal journal a little bit less, but you know, that's not really an excuse, and I just thought, I've got the time, let's do it. Let's actually do a spread. And I was really pleased with how it turned out, and it was really nice to actually do, so I definitely want to get back into doing that more. I did also rejig my shelves, and by shelves I mean one shelf. It's the fantasy shelf that is behind me when I film, when I'm sat on my bed, and I just wanted it to reflect a bit more truly to my favourite fantasy books, and so I rejigged that a little bit. A couple of the books on there I haven't actually read yet, namely the Traitor Barrow Cormorant series, but because I've read first half of that first book, I've read the that I know is going to be one that I absolutely love, so I've put it there, one, to remind myself, hey, you need to read this, and two, because I think it's going to be amazing. So I've got that on my shelves, and it was just nice to have a little bit of a rejig of that. And yeah, that was it. It was mainly playing Animal Crossing yesterday. I had so much fun with it. I've created this little like woodland path, which I'm really pleased with. I'm going to try and get some b-roll of it. I absolutely love it. It's not fully finished yet. I've definitely, when I get to different items and things throughout the game, then I'll add to it, but it's a really nice base, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So I spent a long time doing that, but it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. That was mainly it. I did read a little bit, and I mean a tiny little bit, and I'm actually starting off February with reading a non-fiction book all about poisons. So this is Poisons, The History of Potions, Powders and Murderous Practitioners by Ben Hubbard. And I picked this one up from the Poetry Pharmacy, which is a little poetry / non-fiction bookshop in central London that's also partnered with Lush, that we stumbled across, and I fell in love with this shop. I absolutely loved it, and this is the book that I picked up from it. This looks awesome. I mean, I loved the cover, and I didn't know much going into it apart from the fact it was a non-fiction book about poisons, and I haven't got far into it. I'm only up to page 26, so I really haven't read much, but that's kind of what I wanted. Like I said yesterday, I'd read so much last week that I really wanted a day where I didn't read loads, so I'm really pleased that I didn't read loads of this, but I also really am enjoying it. So I did read the foreword by Sophie Hannah, and I can say I didn't like it. I just think that foreword didn't do anything for this book. It was talking about murder mystery books and how poisons are used in murder mystery books, and I'm like, yeah, cool, fair enough. But it was mainly a plug for Sophie Hannah's own murder mysteries. Like, they talked about how, oh, we use this poison in this book, and I've done this as murder mysteries, and it didn't really relate to the book in any way. It wasn't talking about whether the information in here was good, if it was useful, so it wasn't that great, apart from like the very last sentence, which was like, oh, this is going to be helpful if you are an aspiring murder mystery writer or something, and I'm like, I'm not. I have no interest in being a writer. I didn't like the foreword. However, the rest of the book I think is a really good starting point. My camera battery's flashing at me, so hopefully I can get through this. But I think it's a good starting point if you're wanting to learn more about poisons. The introduction does a good overview of the different types, so from animals to plants to chemical matter, and it just gives you an overview of what the book's going to do, and then it goes through the ages. So we are in chapter 1, and it's Poisons of the Ancient World, and we learned about Socrates and how Socrates was poisoned, and then you learn about the poison that was used on Socrates, which was hemlock, and you get a couple pages about what hemlock is, what it looks like, the effects, if there's any treatments, I think it was really good. It was really interesting. It's definitely a base, but that's what I need because I've never read a non-fiction book about poison, and I do think that this will be a good one that I can be like, oh, I'm really interested in this time period, and maybe look up non-fiction books that specialise in that. So yeah, I'm really intrigued. I think it's going to be really good. But on that note, because my camera battery is flashing at me, I'm going to pack my bag and get ready. I'm going to bring this with me, and we're going to do some editing and maybe a little bit of reading at a coffee shop and just try and enjoy the day. It does look like it's going to rain, so we'll just bring an umbrella. But yeah, there we are. I had a really nice day yesterday. I'm pleased that I've started the non-fiction book. I'll probably break this up with a fiction book, but I don't know quite what yet at the minute, and I'm still happy to take it slow on the reading front, maybe for another day, and then get back into reading fully maybe on like Monday or Tuesday or something. We'll see. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how yesterday went, and fingers crossed today goes just as well. Good morning. So as you can see, we've got lots of piles of books behind us. It's turning into a busy filming day, which wasn't originally the plan for today. Instead, it was just going to be get my nails done, spend a bit of time with my partner, but we've moved that all back a bit, and now I have this morning free and everyone's out the house, so perfect filming time. So we're going to be getting some videos filmed for March, which is very early on in the month, but with the way the work schedule works, sometimes that's just the way I gotta do it. So I'm very excited. I've got 3 videos that I want to film, hence the 3 different stacks of books. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about reading updates, because I actually read quite a bit yesterday. So yesterday was a really nice day. I did go out to Costa to edit at the coffee shop. It was very busy and very loud, so I didn't stay there for too long, and I couldn't get anywhere with a plug, so we were literally just staying there for as long as my laptop lasted. But I did manage to get 1 video fully edited and then do a couple of other bits, so I was really pleased with that. Came back home, finished off all the editing bit. Because I had done editing the day before, it meant that I was able to have another half day, and so I was able to spend a bit of time just relaxing. So I did do some Animal Crossing. I didn't show you the B-roll of the woodland area that I created. I wasn't really feeling up to doing that, to be fair. I just wanted to chill out, do my daily tasks, the DLC, which is like interiors, and that was it. Like, I didn't really feel it. Instead, I was feeling like reading a bit more. So I've made a little bit of progress with Poison, not loads. I'm now up to page 46. And this first chapter has been Poisons of the Ancient World, so we're learning about different people. Like I said, the first one was Socrates, we've then moved on to Cleopatra, Antony and Agrippa and Nero as well, and so like there's a lot going on here. But they're just bite-sized pieces, like you just get the overview of a little bit of history about them, and then how poison played a part in their demise or what they've used to murder other people, and then you get a little bit about that particular poison. So I like it. I think it's really good. It is just bite-sized. It's nice for a starter, as I've already said, but I think with the way I'm going to tackle this is just read a little bit here and there because of the way it's broken up. So like the next one that I'm on to is Purging Quincy Juan, which I've probably mispronounced, and that's literally just a page and a bit, and then we'll have the related and poison. So I'm probably going to do that. I'll probably read about the person, the related poison, and then put it down. Because it's non-fiction, I don't want to overwhelm myself with all this information and then not be able to take any of it in. So I think I'm going to break it up like that. So I think this is going to be across the month. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really well done and it's so interesting. And then I was still in the reader mood, like, because obviously I didn't read loads. I wanted to read something else, and I'd been picking that up throughout the day. Like, I picked up, did a little bit, and then went and did some cooking, read a bit more. Like, that's the way I was doing it. But I really wanted to sit down and read for a good chunk of time, and I was looking at the books that I need to read for the month, and The Stolen Heir. I really wanted to read this one. I know I said at the start of this vlog that I wanted a break from romance and fantasy and just having something different, and I feel like because I took 2 days of, well, was it 2 days? Potentially. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. What day are we on? We're on Monday. So no. Yeah, I took a day off from reading that, and I did the non-fiction book. But I really wanted to read this. I wasn't actually planning to read it this week. Like, I really wasn't. But last night I was just really in the mood for it. And so I have started it. The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This is her spin-off series to the Folklore of the Air trilogy. This takes place 8 years after the events in Queen of Nothing, and I'm really enjoying it. So we're following it from the perspective of Wren, who is someone that you meet within the Folklore of the Air trilogy, but only as a side character, and you're learning more about her. I really like it. I like the way this starts off. So we have our map, and there are little drawings in the map that are tidbits of what's going to happen in the story. So I quite like, once I finish reading my section, to then go back and look at the map and be like, oh, that's what happened, that's what was leading to this, and so I like that. And then we do start off with a poem, and this one is The Changeling by Charlotte Mew, which is very apt for Wren. And I'm just enjoying it. So I am up to chapter 5, page 84, and I'm just having such a good time. I like the fact that here we've got a little, oh, you're probably not going to be able to see this, little fox here, and then above it we have these beautiful illustrations for each of the chapter headers. Like, I really like this. I like the whimsical feel of this. It's just really, really good. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, would I say this is the best written thing ever? No, I've read books that are beautiful and they've got lovely purple prose and stuff, but this is fun, engaging, easy to read, and I really like the whimsical nature. I also like how Holly Black doesn't romanticize. I know the word I mean. But she doesn't make all the fairies to be like beautiful and handsome and, you know, they're so strong and brooding and stuff. Like, it doesn't have that. It's based on folklore, and so you get some fairies that are really quite disturbing to look at. You get some that are really, really violent. You know, none of these creatures, I mean, a few of them are beautiful to look at, but it's a beauty that is so beautiful that it hurts to look at, and monstrous is so monstrous it could be leaning on beautiful because of the way it's done. Like, I really like that. I really like Holly Black's descriptions of the fairy folk and the different types of fairy folk and all the folklore that she draws upon. I really appreciate that in these books. So yeah, I'm really pleased to be back in this world. We do meet up with Oak. So since the end of the 3rd book, Wren has been outcast, and she has been trying to survive on the outskirts of the human world, and she's been like rifling through bins and stuff to get food. Like, she's become pretty feral and wild. And then Prince Oak, who was a childhood friend of hers in as much as she had friends, comes to find her because they need her help. And it's a travelling quest. It's a travelling quest story, but I'm enjoying it. I think it's really fun. I'm looking forward to the dynamic between Prince Oak and Wren. I'm also looking forward to some of the flashbacks we get. So we had a whole chapter dedicated to a flashback of Wren's past, because Wren's past is so sad. It's also very violent. I just feel for her so much. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this. I think it's really good, and I'm definitely in the mood for it. So I'm going to be reading this one. So my plan of reading The Clockwork Girl completely out the window. So I'm going to be reading this and Poison. We're going to be reading this week. Today I do have my nail appointment after I've been doing some filming. I also want to go to the library to see if I can get the Discord book club pick for the month, which is Starling House. I don't know if they're actually going to have it in my library, but it's worth looking. If not, I'll just pick up the Kindle variation. But yeah, I would like to get a start on that as well. I mean, not like now, but it depends. If it's the Kindle book, I'll probably be one I read at work. If I manage to get hold of the physical copy from the library, then I will maybe read it next week, so it's within time so I can return it. We'll see. I haven't quite decided. As we can tell from the way this weekly vlog started, is my plans haven't been going to plan, so I'm just gonna do like vague plans because it's me and I have to have plans. Tomorrow you will not see anything of what I get up to in that day because that is going to be a whole separate daily vlog, which I think goes out before this video anyway, and that is a day of Romanticise in my life because it's coming out on Valentine's Day. And the idea, I mean, I'm going to give you would have heard this spiel in the other video if you've watched it, but the idea behind it is that, you know, Valentine's Day, yes, it's about celebrating love, but that doesn't mean just between partners. It could be friends, it could be family, and it can also be self-love. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a day for some self-love, and we're going to do some of my favourite activities, and we're just going to enjoy it. So hopefully you enjoy that video, but that's going to be tomorrow. So that is going to be nothing read of anything that I've spoken about now. Instead, that will be a different book and everything. I've got it all planned out. I'm really, as I just said, I like plans and I'm very excited for this plan. So hopefully it all goes to plan. That was a lot of plans in one sentence. But there we are. Those are the updates. I'm very excited. I do need to stop waffling on though, because I need to get on and film these. And I am on a time crunch because I also want to have lunch before I go get my nails done. So let's get on with all of that. And I will catch up with you probably Thursday at this point, because Wednesday morning I'm going to be at my partner's and I don't film there. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'll catch up with you Thursday morning and we'll see how much more I get rid of the Stolen Air, and I will try and do that B-roll of Animal Crossing. I mean, some of you might not care, but I know a few of you have been influenced by me to pick up Animal Crossing and I'm so excited because it's such a nice cozy game. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, anyway, stop waffling. We've got work to do. Few days and I have had a really nice relaxing few days, I'm not gonna lie. The last 5 days off that I've had has been super relaxing. I've still got stuff done, but I've just been able to chill and I haven't tried rushing so much into it because I'm actually off work next week as well, so I didn't need to rush to get loads of things done. I'm probably going to regret it next week when I realise I've left loads of stuff, but it's been really, really good to have a nice chill few days. Tuesday was the Romanticise My Life day. I hope you enjoyed that video. I think that's coming out before this one. And it was just a way to slow down and take enjoyment out of my other hobbies aside from just reading. I mean, I still read because I love reading, but I managed to get some baking done. We did a little bit of painting. I did play Animal Crossing for a little while. I also had some book mail. Like, it was a really nice day. So hopefully you like that sort of video, and you're gonna have to let me know if you want more of that sort of thing. I've done it, I think, maybe once or twice before, and that's it. So I'm not sure whether it's something to continue doing or not, or whether I prefer, because of like the readathon daily vlogs that you get every other month anyway, but that one's actually dedicated to reading lots of books. You'll have to let me know. I liked it. I'm a little bit nervous for some reason about it because I didn't do much in the day. Like I painted and I did some baking and I read a couple things, but that was it. I didn't do much, so I feel like it could be boring. So that's why I'm a little bit like, just let me know what you think. Right, apart from that, the last couple of days, what else have I been up to? I was at work yesterday evening, so I was back to work yesterday evening. I also spent the morning with my partner, so that was really nice. Yeah, and I think that kind of catches you up to everything for the last couple of days. So, reading wise, let's start off with the book that I was reading for this video, which is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. I have made such good progress with this book. I'm now up to chapter 12, page 226, and I'm really enjoying this one. It is more of a travelling story. We are just kind of going from location to location with this quest that Prince Oak is undertaking, and he needs the help of Wren to accomplish this task. The only thing is Wren is very suspicious. She doesn't trust people, especially because, you know, the folk, they're not trustworthy. Although they can't lie, they are able to be tricksters and sly and very careful about the words that they use, so it can still be misleading. And Wren has had such a difficult childhood that she just is distrustful. She doesn't trust anyone. As much as she wants to trust her friend Oak, she can't. And we do learn different things that go, maybe he isn't trustworthy. And I like it. I like the development of seeing Wren as a person trying to get over the things that have happened to her while knowing that you can't. Like that sort of situation that she had to deal with, that stays with you, and how it does impact her perspective on life and how it can impact the relationships that she makes and things. And it's really heartbreaking. But you also have the beautiful descriptions of the folk, the different types of folk, the way that a lot of it is bound in different lore that I know of, that I think is really interesting, like the Unseelie and Seelie courts, Queen Mab, and different things. Like, it is all tied in, and I really like that. I also like the different types of folk that we meet. We have a hag witch that ends up playing quite a big role in this, and just lots of different things, and also about the enchantments and things that fairy like to do on humans and all these different things. So it's really fun, it's really magical, but I can understand why it's not going to be for everyone, because it is a travelling story, and I know not everyone likes travelling stories. And even, to be fair, same for me, I have to be in the mood for it. If I like the characters, I don't mind that it's a travelling story, and if I like the world, but some travelling stories I just don't always gel with. But this one I'm liking. I'm intrigued to see where their story is going to go. The only thing that I will say that I pick up on is that time will pass in the space of like a sentence or two, or we'll travel from one area to another area within like 2 sentences or something. And I can understand why, because we're trying to progress the story along, but at the same time I'm also that sort of person that if I'm gonna have a travelling story, I want a bit more depth into when they're traveling, not just, oh, we arrived at this place, oh, this has happened, now we've got to deal with this. I would rather it be a little bit of a mix between actually getting there and seeing the characters interacting and stuff. Again, we do get snippets of that. You might get like a paragraph here or there saying about how they're telling stories around a campfire or things like this, but you don't really get to know those stories. You're told that they're telling these stories, but you don't actually get to know the stories. Like, they're not in depth. So I would rather be showed this rather than be told, I guess is what I'm saying. So that's the only thing is, but at the same time it makes for a very fast-paced book, because you are just going from point to point to point, and then we're going to stop, oh, there's a action scene, we've got to deal with this, or there's some sort of news or something like this that's going to progress the plot along, oh, and now we're going to go point, oh yeah, we stopped for a little bit and then we're going to carry on. But there isn't anything showing of those slower moments, which in travelling, you know, there are slower moments, and I don't mind reading about that because I feel like it builds more connection to the characters. So I feel like I'm not that connected to Prince Oak at all, and obviously part of that could be Wren, because we're following it from Wren's perspective and she's keeping Prince Oak at that sort of boundary, not wanting to have him close, but I feel like I would like that. However, we are still getting the occasional chapters where we're looking back at Wren's past and different moments where they have interacted, and I do like those chapters because it gives you more of the development. I just wish we had that development alongside the travelling story, and we had some slower moments to connect to the characters. Really long-winded way of saying all of that, I guess, but that's my only downside to this. The actual setting and things like that, and Ren as a character, I like. It's just an easy, fast-paced book, but I just feel like some parts of it could have been built on more, so it wasn't just a point-to-point book. There was actually more character development between those points. Anyway, so I will be carrying on with this. I definitely think I can get it finished by the end of this week because I don't have too much left. Oh, I haven't read any more. Well, a tiny bit more of Poison. I have read, I think, like 4 pages more. I am now on page 51, and the last bit was interesting. I liked learning about Qin Shi Huang, who was after immortality and set loads of his alchemists and things to find immortality. However, their failure meant their death. And then you also learned about Mercury and how Mercury was used and the different things that it caused in people. So that was really interesting, but I haven't read more than that, and I think I am going to take this slowly over the month. I've worked out that if I read about 4 pages a day, I'm going to get this finished. I've had the last few days where I haven't read any of this, and I know what I'm like. I know some days I will read more than others, but what I found is when I read this at the start, I really remembered the thing about Socrates and the poison that was used, things like that, and then the following day I read more of this book. So even though it's bite-sized chunk, because of the way it's done, where you get the person, the overview, and then the poison, it's really quick to just read through it all. However, I was finding I wasn't remembering as much, whereas if I take the time to read one person and one poison, I'm remembering it a lot better. So I think that's what I would like to do going forward, and even like if I end up reading more in one day, but just splitting it up, so maybe I start off like lunch with having one person, one poison, and then maybe waiting until like dinner to read another one, so that the information actually settles with me. But I still really like this. I like the way it's done. I like the bite-sized chunks we're getting, because again, like I've said, it's a good starting off place. So this is not going to be finished this week. This is going to be continued across the month, but I'm really enjoying it. It's so interesting, and I like the way that it's done. It feels very accessible. So yeah, really good, really beginner friendly. And then on Tuesday, if you saw that vlog, you would know I started a different book, one that I received that day as book mail, and that is You Let Me In by Camilla Bruce, and I'm really enjoying this one. I have made more progress since when I finished it on Tuesday. Not loads, but some. I'm now up to chapter 21, page 169, and this is a folklore horror book. So we're following a main character called Cassandra, and she is telling her life story. She has left it as a book for her niece and nephew to find upon her disappearance, and she did disappear. And in her will it says, you know, if I've been missing for over like a year, then you can come to my house, you can inherit the house, but you can only do that if you read this last book that I have left for you that details the truth about my life. And in that you will find a password, and if you say that password to the solicitor, then you will inherit the house. And so we're following the niece and nephew as they're reading this book, but we're following them from Cassandra. So Cassandra wrote at the start of this, oh, you two came up to the drive and this is what you were thinking and this is what you did, and now I'm going to tell you the story. And every so often Cassandra breaks that fourth wall and talks to them and goes, I know this probably isn't what you want to hear yet, or you want to find out about this, because Cassandra has gotten away with murder a couple of times. Like, as far as her family's concerned, she committed the crimes, even if the courts didn't see her as committing the crimes, and they see her as this very eccentric person. And the story that's being told is one of folklore, of these fairy beings that are really dark, but that's the solace that she found in her life. But underneath it all is also a second narrative of, is the fae a child's way of coping with the atrocious things that happened to her, and her imagination did this to protect her? And it kind of leaves it up to you to decide what narrative is true or not. And there is enough overlap between the narratives that makes for a really compelling story for either side, and I'm really enjoying this. It is very dark, so do check your trigger warnings. Yeah, just be aware of that, but it's so good. Like, I'm really enjoying this. This is so interesting. So I'd like to finish this week as well. I've been taking this one to work to read on my lunch break. I didn't get much of a lunch break yesterday, so I didn't actually read much. I read a little bit in the morning before I went to work when I was at my partner's house, but that was it. So we'll see how much more I can get read, but I would like to finish both this and The Stolen Heir this week. I'm going to go back to my usual, because I'm on my late shifts, I'm going to go back to how I was structuring my day when I'm back at work, which is start off the morning, give myself an hour to get myself ready, do any updates that I need to do, then edit for an hour, then spend an hour reading and spend an hour playing Animal Crossing. I do need to do a few things today, so hopefully that will work out. I will still do that tour of the little bits that I've done to my island. I still haven't done it, but I did spend quite a bit of time creating this calf, which I don't know why I bothered creating, because I don't have all the items for it and stuff, but you know what, it was fun. It kept me busy, and that was a few days ago. I think that's everything. I've really enjoyed this week, to be fair. I've got a couple more days at work and then I'm off for a week, which you'll see in next week's vlog anyway. But yeah, I've enjoyed the reading. It's ended up being a very folklore heavy reading week, which I wasn't expecting, but I am not mad about, because I do love folklore inspired books and I'm enjoying the different tones to these. So you have The Stolen Heir, which is like the lighter young adult. It's still dark the way that Holly Black depicts her fairies, but it's not as dark as Camilla Bruce's book, which is very dark and borders on horror. I would say probably more thriller than horror, but it's got those darker atmospheric vibes to this book, which I really, really am enjoying. So yeah, it's really interesting to have both of these and to be having that done. Now, is this one on my TBR? No, I've literally only taken one book off my TBR this week, so we do need to actually make some progress with my TBR. Ooh, almost fell, with the rest of the month, because I still have 6 books to read off my TBR, so we definitely need to start making some progress, plus the Discord book club pick, so we need to make progress. But I'm actually loving this week. This folklore reading week has been really good. Not what I planned, but I'm really enjoying it, so that's great. Right, okay, I'm going to stop rambling at you. I'm actually going to go get some breakfast, and then we're going to get on with a bit of editing, and hopefully I can squeeze in some Animal Crossing and reading as well today. But as I said, I've got a few things to do. Anyway, I'm just going to keep repeating myself. Let's stop the talking and actually get on with things, and I'll check in with you soon. Good morning. I finally did that Animal Crossing B-roll for you, which I'm sure half of you probably didn't even care about, but I'm really happy with how it's turning out. The only thing, so we're going to go on a slight Animal Crossing tangent here, I don't think I will ever fully complete an island. So I've had this game for just over 2 years now. I've not completed one single island on this game. So like with this island, it's already been through so many different changes. Like originally I was going to go for like a cottagecore English countryside vibe. Now I'm doing more wood woodland, as you can see from all the damn trees, and I really like it. And to be fair, using the amount of trees that I do in an island always ends up being what I go back to. So I always start off with these ideas of, oh, I'm gonna do this style, and then it never actually happens, and I end up using stacks of trees, bushes and flowers in everything, and I love it because I love it being all nature based. However, I mean, to be fair, what I've done on this island is probably the furthest I've ever got, because I've actually semi-completed like the woodland walk, and I've started a farm, and I've got a bit of a cafe going, and I've got ideas of what I want for everything. It's never going to be fully finished because I don't do treasure islands and things like that. I think if you end up going to treasure islands and stuff, the game becomes more of like this sandbox thing. So treasure islands are different islands that people have created that are just full of items, and generally you can use those treasure islands if you're subscribed to someone through Twitch. I don't know, I've never done it before, but I don't want to do that because I like doing my daily tasks, shaking the trees to find different items and things, like going around and just getting things slowly, and then my island slowly changes as I find different items. So say like the woodland walk thing, I say it's almost done, and it kind of is. It could stay that way, but I also know that I will be adding things like as I get DIY recipes, and I'll start making different things. Honestly, I need to do loads of DIYs. But like all this sort of stuff, like I love it. I love doing bits and pieces, and I love slowly changing it. But that means I don't think I'm ever going to have an island that's finished. And then I also go to myself, what would I do if my island's finished? Like if I finished creating the island and I'm really happy with it, what do I do then? Do I want to delete it after I've done all that effort? I don't know. Anyway, that's like Animal Crossing crises that doesn't really matter because it's the most chilled game ever, and sometimes I just want to go on it to do like 20 minutes of shaking trees and stuff. Sometimes I go on it because I want to do the DLC and do interiors instead. Like that's what I like about this game, like you can kind of do what you want, and sometimes I want to put more time into it and sit there for 2 hours while I decorate a whole part of an island even though I don't have all the items for it. So you know, it's good fun. Anyway, that's not what you're here for. You're here for the reading news, and I have finished both books and I am very happy with this. So we'll start off with The Stolen Heir. I will admit I think this ending was very rushed. I do like the ending, I like where it went. I'm intrigued by the second book to see where it's going to go. I think Ren is a very interesting character and I really like the way it went with her. I don't know, it seemed to work for who she is and everything she's been through to then do what she did. I think it worked, but like I say, it was rushed, and I stick with what I said, that I wish we had some slower moments in this book where during the travelling part we could actually see our companions bonding, and even though Ren is always wary because of her past and the things that she's had to go through, it would have been really nice to actually see some of that bonding, because you do get moments of conflict where she's like, oh, I really want to trust them but I can't because of previous stuff. There's not much there to go on to say why she wants to trust them beyond a little bit, like, I mean, I suppose you could go, well, she's starved for love and she really wants it, so the smallest of things, and that's true, but I also I wish we were shown the parts that they were bonding rather than being told about it. So yeah, but I still enjoyed it. So it's kind of a hard one because I want to be fair and give you an honest review and be like, these are some of the problems with this book, but at the same time I still really enjoyed it, and even though it has those problems, I'm still going to pick up the second book. I would still reread this. Like, is it the best written thing? No. Could there be things that improved upon? Yes, but I still really enjoyed it. Like, I like this world. Oh, and there was a couple of connections to Grimm's fairy tales. One in particular that I recognised was the juniper tree. So if you've read that Grimm's fairy tale, that is related in here through a puppet show that Ren sees, and also a tale, I can't remember the name of it, but the tale of this girl that refuses to stop crying, and I really liked that as well. I know it's an actual fairy tale, I just can't remember the title of it. If I can find it, I'll put it here. Editing Kirsten will do that. She'll be unhappy with me for saying that, but yeah, so I liked that. I liked how Holly Black weaved in some fairy tales that I recognised from the Grimm's fairy tales, and it worked really well for this book, and obviously the folklore vibe to it all. So I really enjoyed it. I do think it was a bit rushed, but I do like the way it ended. So I'm really looking forward to the second book, which I think comes out next month. So I'm really happy with that. And then I finished You Let Me In. and I think this has the potential to be in my top books of 2024, which is always amazing when that happens at the very start of a year. But yes, this one by Camilla Bruce was just fantastic. I loved everything about it. Yes, it's dark. Yes, it deals with some very sad topics in here, but the way it's depicted I really, really liked, and I do like the way it really leaves it up to you to decide what is real, what truth is real, and I really enjoyed that. I also like the way it all ended, like just with the way Cassandra leaves it for her niece and nephew, and the warning that she gives them. I don't know, I think it really, really worked. I really, really enjoyed this. This was so beautiful and poignant and yet really, really dark, and I just adored the atmosphere in this and everything I've already said, you know, the depictions of folklore, well, I don't know whether it's actual folklore, but the depictions of the fairy in this, the way it was used to question what happened, like the way it all blurred in the reality of what happened as a child as well as everything else. Like I like it blurred the boundaries, and I really liked that. But yeah, I would really, really recommend. It is a darker book, but I think it was absolutely fantastic. I have only read a tiny bit more of Poison. I'm now on page, oh, I didn't really even get that far, to be fair, 51. I read a couple of paragraphs from that while I was making some lunch yesterday, but I didn't actually finish it, so I need to work on this. It's going to be continued, as I've said, throughout the month. But that is everything for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. I've had a really nice time. I mean, I've mentioned this already, that I had the time off and it was really nice and relaxing, and yeah, it's just worked out really well. Although I have realised that I have most of my TBR still to read, so we need to start tackling that, but that will all be talked about in next week's vlog. So for now, I'm going to leave it here. So thank you so much for watching. I think if you made it this far, or you just don't know what you want to comment, then leave a little fairy in the comments below, because we did read 2 different books with very different depictions of fairies, and I really liked it. But yes, okay, I'm gonna leave it there. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you that takes the time to watch these videos. It really means a lot. If you have enjoyed this video, then do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those 3 things really help this channel grow. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.